What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle content. Today's video, we're taking out another Great League team with a new Pokemon that got buffed. Shadow Drifblim, one of my new toys with Mystical Fire in the Open Great League. Backing it up is going to be Registeel with that Legacy Zap Cannon Focus Blast moveset. And we've got Dunsparce, one of my favorite mons in the Great League to use ever since it got rollout. And rollout got buffed, giving 1 extra damage per rollout. So let's see how this team does in the Great League. And spoiler alert, it's pretty freaking strong. So let's see. So we've got our first lead going to be up against Metacham. You couldn't ask for a better lead, goodness me. So we've got Registeel coming in against their safe swap Noctowl, and this is just, I mean, the game's already over, let's be honest. They're just going to get hard countered here, but it is up to the opponent. I mean, the Shadow Ball does go through if my opponent decides to try and shield these. I mean, they could potentially make a play for switch since they do outpace those, but we do connect with the Zap Cannon, the opponent just deciding it's not worth shielding this in this matchup, just let it go. And now I'm just going to be able to farm them down and throw a Zap Cannon into the Metacham when it comes back in, which it does, and that's going to allow me to keep my Drifblim alignment, which is going to be crucial for this, because not only that do they shield as well, which is huge. So Drifblim's going to come in. Look how much damage those hexes do to this. Is insane. The Drifblim is so much freaking fun. And the Ice Punch does hurt, but are they going to shield the Metacham twice? I don't think so. And they're not going to find out. No, they do shield it. Man, you're going to invest. They invested 2 shields into that Metacham. I'm going to stay in, and I have to just be careful they don't try to catch on another normal type, like, you know, running Lickitung or something in the back, which is common for Metacham. But I wait until I see that second counter animation during my Hex, and then I'm going to launch the Shadow Ball at the Metacham. Take it out, and my opponent decided not to bring in the Altaria because maybe they thought it was running Icy Wind, and I completely understand. However, it's probably pretty safe to say that most Drifblim now are going to be running Mystical Fire because the move really is just that cracked. And now I'm going to be able to show you at some point that it's such a good move, right? So I'm clicking on the move, but for some reason Drifblim does a fast move, so I'm not really sure what happened there, but that puts me a little bit behind on energy. The opponent is going to throw a Drill Run, which is the correct move to throw. Ice Punch does do less damage in neutral situations if you're playing alone in Sand Slash. And they come in with a Shadow Quagsire. So my hope here is that I'm going to be able to either get alignment or get a really, really big farm down on my Drifblim. Because the only way that I can truthfully do anything against that Sand Slash is if I somehow end up shields and energy. And that Stone Edge is going to connect and it's going to hurt. So I am... It's hard to say, man. You kind of have to decide if you're going to shield this to get a move off. So I do. I decide I'm going to let this I'm going to let my opponent have one of my shields, and then I'm going to throw this Drill Run in order to try and take them down to a low HP. And because my rollouts are resisted, it gives me a little bit extra farm. And because my opponent threw very, very early, I'm pretty sure that this is just a Mud Bomb, and it is. That's why counting is very important. Now, because my opponent threw their energy into my Dunsparce, I can freely go for this Mystical Fire, which is going to draw a second shield or one-shot the Alolan Sand Slash, and then they're going to go for a Drill Run against my Registeel. Now, because their attack was lowered, I can pretty safely no-shield here and let this go. And they're going to come in with an Alolan Ninetales. And, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better... You couldn't ask for this. You couldn't ask for a better situation. They are definitely running a team that was good against fighters. I should say fighters. But I think my opponent may have forgotten that ABA Ice is still weak to fire. And a Weather Ball is not going to take out my Registeel. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to attempt to get myself as low as possible. I don't want my opponent to get any extra farm from me. So I'm hoping that I can just give them very, very little farm with an extra shield here. I can easily shield this up and get to the Mystical Fire, but I did switch immediately to prevent my opponent from getting any extra farm. I just wanted to leave my Registeel with as little HP before taking out that Alolan Ninetales as possible, and that is going to take out the Alolan Sand Slash and be a good game. Very, very hard to maneuver around that. Honestly, my opponent having that move, that Ninetales in the back really just sealed it for me. So this person's got a Talonflame, and they're staying in way too long, allowing me to get a Rock Slide off, which is essentially going to be a free shield. And I assume they're probably just going to go for Brave Bird here. So I will shield back because I want to keep my Dunsparce alive. If they were not switch, or they're not quick to switch out, then there's a chance they may not have something solid in the back to deal with it, and they have a Latios. And I forget which one of these has Dragon Claw, but it's this one, and it hurts. This seems like a meme, but Shadow Latios, this thing hurts, and I have to respect it. Plus, they decided to shield, and I'm like, okay. I can't bring in Registeel because they resist Registeel's entire moveset. So I come in with Drifblim. Look how much damage those hexes are doing, dude. That's crazy. So I'm like, okay, they're probably throwing Dragon Claw right away. If I can hex down in 4 hexes, we're good. And I get the hex down right before they get to that next Dragon Claw, and they come in with Umbreon. Okay, this sucks. But remember, Registeel's here. Registeel is definitely here. So they come in with the Talonflame. They come in way too late, which is going to allow me to get to a Zap Cannon before they can get to a charge move. Gonna take out the Talonflame in one shot. And then we've got Umbreon up against this Registeel, which is still at pretty much full HP. This is a lock-loaded win, ladies and gentlemen. There's not really a whole lot the opponent can do. So let's take a minute to talk about the construction of this team while we have it. Shadow Drifblim, just something I wanted to try. Mystical Fire, because it can beat like Registeel and G-Fisk in the 1s and 2s. Very interesting to me. So I really wanted to focus more so on covering like ices, steel, not even steel, but ices and basically like rocks, things like that would, like, you know, Bastiodon. So I threw Registeel in as the core mate. Dunsparce was like, you know, it's got rollout buffed. I want to try it out. So it works out. Now, I make a mistake in this game here. I stay in. I forget the counts for a moment for Thunderpunch. And I'm like, I have to shield this anyway because it's Thunderpunch. In hindsight, probably wouldn't have done nearly as much damage as I thought it would have. But I figure my opponent's going to swap, or is going to throw right away. So I'm going to bring in my Dunsparce to catch the next move, which is debuffed, which means it's not going to do much damage. So they now come in with a Togekiss, and the Togekiss is running Air Slash. Lots of Air Slash Togekiss, not many Charm ones. But Ancient Poggers comes out, Ancient Power, and they get a boost. And I'm like, all right, this is just freaking great. So not only do I get core broken, not even core broken, I'm just playing stupidly at this point. Not only does that Muck have my number on the Drifblim if I give it farm, but they're also getting boosted. But they put both shields into the Togekiss, which now allows me to put my Registeel on it. And as I could put my Registeel on it, I guess I should have. But I was afraid that they might have Aura Sphere, which is why I actually did not bring in my Registeel here. The reason why is because a buffed Aura Sphere would do super effective damage to Registeel, and it would hurt a lot, so I decided not to. Plus, I figured that the Muck was going to come in, so I go to catch one more time, leaving a ton of energy on my Drifblim, and we successfully catch a Thunder Punch yet again. And then it's going to be up to what my opponent has in the back. They have an Excadrill, and I actually have no idea how much damage the Drill Run from this thing is going to do. And while I'm hoping it's definitely not 100%, it does. It's so close to. I'm within 1 Mud Shot of being taken out. Now, the nice thing here is that the Mystical Fire definitely would have done a lot of damage, but takes it out, has the Mystical Fire ready to go, and we take out the Muck, and that's a good game. I probably could have played that a lot cleaner by not staying in and screwing around with the Muck, but my opponent played that as well as they could have, and I think that they were close enough to get a good game for it, so well played. Another Metacham lead, love to see him. A lot of these have been in the back. This team has, it's either the Metacham's in the front or not. Now, I don't know why I stay in here. I think I stay in here just because I want to ensure that I get switch advantage. But bringing in my Dunsparce is very dangerous because if my opponent's Metacham gets any extra farm, that's not great for my Drifblim. So I have to play this carefully, and I have to play this in such a way that I try not to give them a lot of farm. But because I debuff them, that's not as easy to do. Lickitung gets completely clapped by Dunsparce because it double resists those licks. So I could have just come in straight away after banking that energy, and I'd have been fine. But we're going to play this out. Now, I'm going to try and build up as much extra energy as possible here. Going to go for the Drill Run about when I get to double Drill Run. I tried to throw there just because I was going to see if I could get there before they did. But going to go up to double Drill Run and toss the move here. That's going to allow me to take out this Lickitung, and then they're going to come in with the Metacham and get a ton of energy on me, and I'm just maybe going to hope that I get to another Drill Run before I go down. But they look to probably not let me do that. Oh, no, we get there. Thankfully, Dunsparce is an absolute G and hangs on and gets the move. So now the Metacham is going to throw the Ice Punch here, and I will shield it because my Drifblim is in within range of, you know, Ice Punch would be painful. And they come in with Registeel, and now it's time for my Drifblim to shine, baby. Now we're going to let these Mystical Fires loose. I'm going to stay in and commit to this matchup for the time being, and then try to catch the Zap Cannon on the Registeel. I have gotten very, very good at counting these one-turn fast moves. I will pride myself on that. So I'm able to catch the Zap Cannon because they went to it. I was expecting... They're not going to throw a Focus Blast at 15. They're going to wait till they get to 16, and that's what I was counting during this game. So what I'm hoping to do now is just... I'm going to let this go. And the Focus Blast is going to hurt. They cannot get a hefty enough farm down in order to take me out. So I will be able to just come in with Drifblim and go for 3 more hexes. That's going to put them at 11. I believe 11 or 12. And that Mystical Fire is going to go through, and now the attack's going to drop. I can safely shield this now, and I can either hex down this opponent's Registeel and get to the Shadow Ball, or Shadow Ball the Metacham and then hex down the Registeel thereafter, and that's going to be a good game to my opponent. Drifblim core-breaking teams like a champion. Well played. So we've got the next game here, halfway through. We've got a Kingler. Dude, the spice is back. I had like 2 sets of grindy, sweaty, meta stuff, and the spice is back. So I'm going to swap on 6, hopefully catch a Crab Hammer. My opponent actually ends up throwing X-Scissor here, so drink water, folks. Stay hydrated. My opponent comes in with a Razor Leaf Levani. I've literally never seen this before in my life. So I have no idea what this thing's moveset is, but they do let this go. So at this point, I'm interested in maintaining switch advantage after getting such a nice farm down. That's what's powerful about Dunsparce and things like it, is if you can put a shield down, but you have a ton of energy, and you can use that energy to get some sort of an advantage later, it's good stuff. Kingler's extremely frail. That's why this farm down was important to me, because I knew that I would be able to get 2 drill runs off before they get to another move. Hopefully, anyway. So these drill runs are going to go out. My opponent did shield the first one. I think they shield the second one as well, which means now I can safely just swap immediately into Drifblim, and my opponent's either going to stay in and play this out, or they're going to come in with a Nidoqueen, which is completely walled by Drifblim. Now, I don't farm too much extra. I don't want to stay in here and find out how much a Stone Edge might do, but they go right for Poison Fang now because they're not going to live long enough to get to the Stone Edge. So they go down to the Nidoqueen, or the Nidoqueen goes down to the Drifblim, and now I go for the Shadow Ball against the Kingler, and that's going to seal it out because I know that the Shadow Ball one-shots, and that's going to be a good game. Well played. So let's go into the next one, and we've got Drifblim up against a Hawlucha. You couldn't ask for better leads when you see fighters, dude. Honestly, and Hawlucha is one of the ones you love to see. Now, Bastiodon comes in. This poor soul just safe swapped a Bastiodon. I don't know what they've got in the back, but players, trainers, battlers, whoever you identify as, do not ever safe swap a Bastiodon. Ever. It's not a safe swap. Bastiodon needs to be properly baited. If you're going to use a Bastiodon, you either put it in the lead and put things behind it that beat fighters, or you put something in the back as a safe swap, like Registeel, that'll draw out a fighter or another Steel or something that beats Bastiodon, and you have Bastiodon in the back once hopefully that one counter's gone. Because my opponent has safe swapped the Bastiodon, my Registeel gets to come in and do whatever it so pleases because a Focus Blast will one-shot the Bastiodon. Now my opponent has a Metacham in the back, so they've got Hawlucha. Metacham is the team that's left. I know that my Drifblim absolutely destroys the rest of their team, but they got some farm on the Metacham. So I make a different decision here. I come in with my Drifblim straight away, or I come in with my Dunsparce, I should say, straight away, in order to soak the energy off the Metacham and just get a little bit of use out of it, because I know that I'm probably not going to want to use my... I'm not going to really use my Dunsparce for anything at this point, because my opponent's got double fighters on the team. So, Drifblim is going to be able to get a bunch of farm. My opponent's running Aerial Ace, and I believe they also have Flying Press on Hawlucha. I'm not going to lie. I am kind of jealous of the Hawlucha. I really want one, but I can't go to Mexico to find one. So unless someone trades me one, I'm good. So Shadow Ball is going to come through and clap the Metacham, and I think my opponent knew it was coming, so that's why they didn't shield. So good game. Love that Hawlucha. Some awesome stuff. Skarmory. Now this is a weird one here. I'm going to go straight for Mystical Fire when I get to it. And I'm hoping that I pull an early shield for my opponent, or it does a bunch of damage. My whole team is pretty decent into the Skarmory, but my opponent goes straight for a swap into their Swampert. So I'm thinking maybe they're running double Mud Boy in the back. I don't know what they've got in the back, but I'm just glad that my Registeel is not seeing this right now, because that would be the worst possible scenario. So I just have to try and align my Registeel to the Skarmory later. Now, my opponent, having Swampert, is extremely spammy, and I didn't get an energy advantage, so I just let the Hydro Cannon go, thinking maybe I can get them to no shield as well, not wanting to be down shields. But my opponent, unfortunately for me, does decide to shield that up, so I have to come up with a Drifblim and eat a Hydro Cannon, and this really is going to hurt, so I'm going to shield it instead. I don't want to eat that damage. And I'm just kind of hoping that double shielding my Drifblim is the play here, because otherwise I have no idea what I'm going to do. But I actually let it go because I don't know how much damage that does to Shadow Drifblim, and I'm going to throw the Mystical Fire right before I would expect them to get to their next Hydro Cannon. Hopefully that takes it out, and I'm just hoping that Registeel with a shield can deal with whatever's on this team. My opponent throws a Brave Bird into my Registeel, which feels like a mistake to me. They should not be using that energy, but honestly, where else are they going to put the energy? And they got Quagsire, so not much I can do here, unfortunately, by not being able to flip switch advantage here. I kind of put myself into a point where there's not much I can do. So this Quagsire is going to make quite short work of me, and I'll take this moment to say well played to this trainer. Thank you for RPSing my poor Registeel. That's a good game. Even though I get to this Focus Blast, I don't have a way to win because my Drifblim's too low. So take a minute to just shout out the patron supporters. You know, you guys are really an awesome community, and if you'd like to join us, get all access to my teams and all the meta analysis and basically everything early before it hits YouTube, hit the description up in the pinned comment. I'm going to have ways to support me, the channel, and my family, because that's just what this channel is about. It's me found a way to support my family through other means by playing Pokemon Go. So we have a Drifblim on the lead versus Noctowl. Not a good lead at all. I'm going to switch immediately to Dunsparce, and then we're going to talk about the rollout damage being increased, which makes this matchup a lot more comfortable, and a lot of other ones too. It actually allows you to farm down, which is really huge. Opponent shields their Noctowl and then immediately brings in Quagsire. Maybe they didn't know I was gonna do that. I don't know. I'm not really sure what was going on there, but I definitely am glad that I was able to get an early shield off of them, because that makes it easier for me to flip switch against this person if I need to put my Registeel on the Noctowl, which is definitely the ideal thing for me to do here, because Drifblim, while Mystical Fire and Shadow Boost are kind of nice, it's not quite Icy Wind, and that's not going to really allow me to do a whole lot against the Noctowl. So I would much rather have Registeel aligned to it. My opponent goes for the Stone Edge here, which is actually something that they like to do. Once they've built up the energy, just go for the kill shot. Maybe they make you think that they're going to go for a Mud Bomb. So that actually allows me to get the energy differential against this Quagsire that I need. But they go for another Stone Edge, and I did not think there were another Stone Edge. So they are... it's just, there's energy everywhere, dude. So I am going to just let this go, I think. No, this is a Stone Edge, so I'm going to shield it. It's been a couple days since I did these battles. My opponent immediately swaps in the Noctowl. I was kind of anticipating this, but there's not really much I can do about it. So I save the energy on my Drifblim with the very little amount of HP that it has, and I'm going to come in with my Registeel, and I'm just going to see what happens. This Quagsire has some energy. I'm overloading as much as I can, even though it's not much at all, just to try and see if I can get to the Focus Blast to take out a Quagsire. My opponent has a Dugong, and my Registeel being this low means that I am not going to be able to survive the 2 drill runs that I'm going to end up eating before I end up getting the 2 charge moves of my own. And because my switch clock is not up yet, I will not be able to try and catch a move, which is unfortunate. And I think that I could try to do it here. I think maybe that would be good, but then the Quagsire farms me down. My opponent safe swaps into the Quagsire immediately, but I'm not going to be able to farm them down before they farm me down. And then I go for Shadow Ball against the Dugong, and I probably should have gone here for maybe Mystical Fires, double Mystical Fire, but they win CMP against Registeel anyway, so it doesn't really end up mattering. They're going to get this move off, and that is going to take out my Registeel. Very good, very close game. Well played to my opponent here. So next game up, we've got the Shadow Drifblim against the Telep. Not an amazing matchup. they're spammier than me, I immediately go into my Dunsparce, and my opponent immediately also goes into a Dunsparce. So Dunsparce off here, and we're going to see, really this matchup just comes down to whose Dunsparce wins CMP. That's honestly what it's going to end up coming down to. So we're over farming over each other, trying to just get, you know, some energy here, some energy there. It doesn't really matter, because at the end we are going to end up having to throw the drill run on the alignment point, and whoever wins CMP wins this matchup against the first shield. That's going to be it. And I have to make sure that I'm the one who wins CMP and this shield. And as you can see, I have a very slightly attack-weighted Dunsparce. It's not... honestly, it's not anything special. It's literally just the best that I had. But if you're playing against the rank 1 Dunsparce, mine will definitely win. So we take that. The opponent decides they're not going to go down to shield here in this matchup. My opponent probably thought that I had Icy Wind. You know, most people seem to. Like, I'll see an Altaria lead, and they'll just, like, swap out of my Drifblim because they think I have Icy Wind. But we got the Dunsparce by itself, got the opponent this low, but they have a ton of energy. My opponent having Dunsparce in the back, Pelipper in the lead, makes me think that there could be something like a G-Fisk in the back. So I am kind of hoping that I can save my shields for the Drifblim and take out the G-Fisk that way. But man, this Pelipper is annoyingly spammy and is taking out just about all of my health here. So I'm looking to lock on down, but I have to spend a shield in order to do so, which is really, really unfortunate. So I will get the lock on down almost, but my opponent just decides to swap out, I think. Unless that was a KO, I couldn't tell. It's hard to tell with this game sometimes. So yeah, the Pelipper is still alive in the back. My opponent comes in with a G-Fisk. And I have to shield the first move here because this Rock Slide will hurt the most. And I should be able to get to this Mystical Fire here long before yet. They get to the Mystical Fire before they get to the Rock Slide. Now it's going to be up to see how much damage does the Rock Slide do to Drifblim before or after the buffs, debuffs. So essentially what I'm looking for here is I'm trying to see how much damage this will do to my HP bar. And I see that it does right around half. So I get to this next Mystical Fire, and now I'm fairly confident that my Drifblim can survive one more Rock Slide after this debuff. So we're going to continue farming here. My opponent does make a mistake. The Dunsparce, or the G-Fisk, didn't get KO'd there. What happened is they tried to swap in their Pelipper to catch a move, but they did it a little too soon, so that allowed them to instead catch these hands, which is also in the form of a Hex, and, oh, that was the last battle. So they were going to go down. So another 5-0, and then a 3-2 seems to be a thing this week for me, but Shadow Drifblim is a core breaker in the Great League, and if you're not prepared for it, it absolutely takes you by surprise and just destroys your face. So, once again, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.